Crews continue to search for a missing man who fell off a rented jet ski at Bluffers Park. We are live with the latest on what police are now calling a recovery operation.
A double stabbing on a TTC streetcar in the downtown core. We're now learning more about what happened.
Plus, as fans gear up for another Oasis concert at Rogers Stadium tonight, area residents and the local city councilor are sounding the alarm about all the noise. We'll share some of those concerns.
This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Safin.
And I'm Lena Latifat. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Live at 5. It's been nearly 20 hours since a man fell off a jet ski in the water near Bluffers Park.
All right, now let's go live to CP24's Andrew Brennan for the latest on the search effort. Andrew.
Yeah, Lena, Bakari, we're in front of the Marine unit, and as the boats have been getting further and further away from shore and just it being more and more difficult being able to keep track of the recovery operation, we came here because if there will be news, it'll get here first. But what we do know from Toronto police thus far is, as you mentioned off the top of the show, this was a rented jet ski, according to police. The incident reported just after 9 o'clock, 9:15-ish last night. It was either a wave or potentially some obstruction in the water that resulted in two people that were on this jet ski falling into the water. But according to police, of the two people that were on this jet ski, only one, the female passenger, had a life jacket. The male operator of that jet ski, according to police, we don't have an exact age, believed to be in his 20s. He did not have a life jacket because he gave the one that was available to the female passenger. Here's more from the police.
This is at the very early stage of the investigation at this point right now, where our focus is very much on recovering him at this point. But having said that, it is my understanding that the one of them was wearing a life jacket. And it is my understanding the operator both of them fell off from jet ski. And operator, the male who obviously we're looking for, had given that female passenger his life jacket. And as a result, we have females obviously survived and made their way out. And then male obviously still in the back. We're searching for him.
The other thing that we were told by the duty inspector, Lena Bakari, is the fact that both of the people that were on this jet ski that were on it after dark were not strong swimmers, or in some, according to police, one was not able to swim that well, if at all. Now, we do not know where this jet ski was rented from. There are many of the usual operators in rental companies not here today. I actually spoke with one man who has a rental company, and he showed me the checklist that he has to go through with everyone who rents one of his jet skis. He didn't want to be on camera, but he said right now there's already a concern amongst those in the business about those that are doing it either on the side or doing it outside of where it's legally sanctioned, and how that could be presenting a danger. Again, we do not know where this jet ski was rented right now, but ultimately this is a recovery operation with many questions surrounding how two people were on a jet ski with only one life jacket, when legally, even if it's rented, everyone who is on a jet ski has to have a life jacket either on or right beside them. And when it's given out as a rental or bought, or this is something that is told to people, they're supposed to have one with them. And he says they're provided for each person that has a jet that is renting a jet ski or going to be on it as part of the rental. That's what he says is normal, common practice, and he was wondering why this didn't happen here. I'll send it back to you.
And that search continues tonight. Andrew Brennan reporting live from Bluffers Park. Andrew, thanks so much. Let's get to another story we're following very closely for you. Police say one of two people stabbed on the TTC this morning was trying to intervene as a woman was being pulled off a streetcar.
CP24's crime analyst Steve Ron is live at College in Bathurst with this update. Steve.
Yeah, guys, please tell us that this occurrence happened at 8:25 this morning on an eastbound streetcar on College Street near Bathurst. According to police, as Lena just alluded to, a woman in her 30s was being removed forcibly from the streetcar by a man in his 40s. There was a guy 60 years of age, on the streetcar. He intervened, and as a result, the guy in his 40s stabbed both the woman and the man who intervened. Both of those people are in hospital in very serious but non-life-threatening condition. The man in his 40s was arrested a short distance away and is now facing a slew of very serious criminal charges. Just a short distance from where this altercation occurred, on a parking lot on the south side of College Street, police recovered a knife believed to be the weapon used in this attack. So the police have identified a 42-year-old man named Patrick St. Dennis. There's a knife there we're showing you that was just a short distance away from the intersection of Bathurst and College Street. Patrick St. Dennis is a 42-year-old man police are accusing of a variety of criminal offenses, including 2 counts of assault, 2 counts of assault with a weapon, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of aggravated assault, 2 counts of failing to comply with a criminal release, and 2 counts of failing to comply with a probation order. The 42-year-old was scheduled to be in court at 2 o'clock this afternoon pending a bail hearing. No threat to public safety, police tell us, and this does appear to be a domestic incident that started on the TTC, and this man in his 60s intervened and as a result was stabbed as a result. I'll send it back to you guys.
Okay, CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan. Steve, thank you. Well, TTC CEO Mandeep Lalli released a statement about the stabbing.
Yeah, and part of that says the safety of everyone on our system is paramount. I have reached out to Toronto Police to offer our full support as they investigate this incident. While the circumstances leading to this are under investigation, I share everyone's concerns when something like this happens on TTC property. We extend our thoughts to the victims and anyone who witnessed this. We encourage anyone with information to share it with police.
Well, police have released images of a vehicle that may be connected to the shooting that killed 8-year-old Javai Roy. This happened in North York.
Yeah, investigators are looking for this car. They believe it is a white Acura. Police have not disclosed where and when it was last seen. Anybody with information about it is asked to come forward.
So Javai Roy was in bed with his mother. This was Saturday, August 16th. That's when shots were fired towards their building on Martha Eden Way. That's near Black Creek Drive and Trethewey Drive. The boy was hit by a stray bullet. He was rushed to hospital, but that's where he later died.
York Regional Police, meantime, they're asking for help from the public as they search for a missing 23-year-old woman from Newmarket.
Reagan was last heard from by her family the night of Thursday, August 14th. Police say that she has no fixed address, but is known to frequent downtown Toronto. And investigators say that Reagan has not returned any messages or phone calls. Her family and police, they're both concerned for her well-being. So anyone with information, contact York Regional Police.
And Toronto police are asking for help as they search for a missing 75-year-old man. This is Edward, and he was last seen on Saturday at about 12:30 p.m. in the area of Pharmacy Avenue and Eglinton Avenue East. Police say they are concerned for his safety.
Well, the man charged in a head-on crash that killed a father of 3 in Whitchurch, Stova earlier this month has been denied bail.
18-year-old Jaywin Kirubananthan is charged with dangerous driving causing death, dangerous driving causing bodily harm, and making a false statement to police. 35-year-old Andrew Cristillo was killed, and his wife and daughters were injured in the crash on August 3rd on Highway 48 near Aurora Road. The accused was also charged in a collision on Highway 401 back in January with a vehicle carrying the Premier, Doug Ford. The Premier wasn't hurt.
Okay, major damage to a Magic Mushroom dispensary. This is in Scarborough after a driver crashed into the storefront.
Yeah, this is what it looked like after the fact. A white pickup truck left lodged in the mushroom land on Kingston Road near McCowan. Police say they received a call just before 4:30 this morning for reports of a break and enter at the business. No one was in the vehicle or in the store when officers arrived on scene.
Okay, Toronto police, they're kicking off a safety campaign. This is focused on so-called micromobility vehicles.
Yeah, micromobility vehicles include e-scooters, mopeds, e-bikes, and regular bicycles. Police say the initiative will include education as well as enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act and city bylaws. The campaign is being conducted in response to a city council recommendation, and it's going to concentrate on areas like bike lanes, sidewalks, as well as crosswalks. It is set to run until September 13th. And Inspector Matt Moyer of the Traffic Services Unit joined us with more on this new campaign.
We've had a lot of feedback that's come to us both through our divisions and through traffic services that speaks to just the lack of education that people have about what's right, what can I ride, where can I ride it, what's safe and what's not safe. So today's initiative really is about education and enforcement. And we hope to go citywide with this for the next 3 weeks till September the 13th. And we hope to also have an impact on traffic congestion in the city. So it does carry a lot of layers with it.
Okay, so if you're caught breaking the rules, police say that this is going to cost you between $110 and $350 at the high end.
Yeah, the fines are steep for sure. 5:01, 20 degrees. Let's get a check on the evening commute now with our traffic specialist, Adjoa and Cia.
Yeah, it continues to be a busy go, Alina Bakarian, watching problems into Mississauga on the 401 westbound. This is in the express lanes just past Mississauga Road. It's a transport truck. It looks like it's off to the side, but MTO crews are the ones that are blocking that right lane in the express, and it is impacting the drive. It's very busy on the approach. Then southbound 427, a much improved drive. Had a collision southbound 427 approaching the 409. HOV and left lane were blocked. That problem did all clear. Using the DVP North, it continues to get busy as you head from Bayview Bloor up to the 401, pretty typical for a Monday. And if your travels take you on the Gardner, we had some problems eastbound on the Gardner through Jameson. Was a collision, was in the left lane. The problems there have cleared. On city streets, we saw this collision on Markham Road and Ellesmere. I'll send it back to you.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
It is 5:11, 20 degrees out there. You're watching Live at 5.
Oasis is set to play their second of 2 Toronto shows. Happening tonight, we're going to go live to Rogers Stadium. That's next for more on noise complaints. Premier Doug Ford says that his government plans to introduce legislation to ban experimental testing on dogs and cats.
Ford made the announcement this morning after whistleblowers with the group Animal Justice raised concerns about dogs being tested for cardiac research at the Lawson Research Institute at St. Joseph's Healthcare in London. That led to a University of Toronto investigation which claimed the dogs, mostly puppies, were used for tests and killed before their internal organs were removed for further examination.
You can't be experimenting on dogs. They're part of our families. They're cats. You know, go with the mice, go with the rats, no problem. But these are pets, and it's done. You can't do it anymore. Now I'm going to start looking for everyone else. If there's anyone else out there that's doing this to animals, come clean, because we're going to catch you. And it's just terrible. You can tell I'm an animal lover, but it's just terrible what they're doing.
And the Lawson Research Institute announced that it was ending all testing on dogs following the U of T investigation.
Well, Toronto hosted a summit today aimed at finding solutions to keep young people off the streets.
Yeah, the city's recent street needs assessment report found about 1,500 people between the ages of 16 and 24 are experiencing homelessness on any given night. So youth also make up 10% of Toronto's shelter population right now. Advocates gathered at City Hall this morning to issue a call for action saying that there's an urgent need for a citywide youth homelessness strategy.
Youth homelessness is not an inevitable situation. It is the result of systems that can and must be changed. Toronto needs a dedicated youth homelessness strategy. We need a bold plan that is spearheaded by the city, built with youth at the table, and fully funded by all levels of government, hopefully to prevent, respond, and ultimately end youth homelessness in Toronto.
Youth homelessness is distinct from adult homelessness in both its root causes and consequences. Yet so many of our systems and services are set up to operate as if they're the same. And this despite hearing directly from youth that things aren't working and they need to change.
Toronto declared homelessness an emergency back in 2023.
Okay, so let's switch things up a little bit. Ahead of the second Oasis show at Rogers Stadium tonight, there are new complaints about sound levels near the North York concert venue.
Yeah, this has been a long-standing issue. CP24's Melissa Duggan joins us with more on these fresh concerns, though, to turn down the volume. Melissa.
Yeah, that's right. Some fresh criticism coming from a Toronto city councillor about the volume, the noise that comes from Rogers Stadium. When there are concerts here, he says it is too loud. The venue needs to turn it down. So this update coming from Councillor James Pasternak today after last night's concert that saw Oasis play to a crowd of some 50,000. Even in the rain, they were out here rocking to the sounds of the popular British rock band. Of course, this was their first visit to Toronto since 2008, and their stop in Toronto, their only Canadian stop as well. Okay, so we're talking about the concert, we're talking about the criticism. I want to share what we're hearing from the councillor today. He's released a statement that says, in part, we remain very concerned about the sound levels. These concerts can be heard miles away, and we feel the venue operator can turn down the volume significantly and still offer a strong concert experience. Something must be done. Now, the city says that they are out here, that they are measuring the sound during these events that have been hosted at Rogers Stadium, all summer long, saying that they have been compliant, those noise levels, with permitted levels. But Pasternak argues that just because it's technically in compliance, that doesn't mean it means acceptable levels for the community, for the people who happen to live in this area. We're talking more about this issue today as well with the group No More Noise Toronto. Here's what they're telling us.
None of us are against sound, but what we don't like is the noise and when it keeps us up. And so that's where that happy medium, I think a lot more resident engagement needs to be involved. Plus, there's things that we can do. There's sound level limiters. There's all kinds of ways that we can mitigate the sound, especially the low bass frequencies. We can put earplugs in for our ears, but there's nothing we can do to mitigate vibration. We can't ignore that, and that's one of the biggest complaints.
City News did reach out to Live Nation. That's the company that operates this venue, for a comment on the noise. They haven't gotten back to us in time for broadcast right now. And there are more concerts on the way here at this new venue that just opened up this summer, of course. So we've got Oasis tonight, once again playing to a huge crowd. And then next up on the schedule is System of a Down, a metal band. So we're expecting it to be a loud one there. And then after that is going to be Hozier. That is next on the schedule. That's the situation here. And by the way, Lena and Bakari, we're seeing lots of fans already coming to this venue hours before the concert's set to begin. Back to you.
Okay, an exciting night for fans, maybe for residents, not so much. Melissa Duggan live at Rogers Stadium. Thanks, Melissa. It's 5:18, 20 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Okay, talks between Canada Post and the union for its workers, they've been delayed again. We're going to tell you why next.
Welcome back. Negotiations between Canada Post and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers are off once again.
Well, talks were supposed to resume on Friday, but Canada Post wanted more time to review the latest offers put forward by the union, so they were pushed to today. Well, CUPW says it was informed yesterday that the Crown Corporation is still reviewing their proposals, and today's planned talks, they were scrapped. No other meetings have been scheduled. Now, bargaining has been ongoing for more than a year and a half.
Well, Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Warsaw today, striking a new strategic partnership with Poland.
Yeah, Carney met with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk. The pair say that they've agreed to work more closely in areas such as defense, aviation, cybersecurity, and clean energy. And Canada will also be the lead country at the 2026 International Defense Industry Exhibition. This is going to be in Poland. Carney says the agreement with Poland, that's going to drive European demand for Canadian exports and solidify Canada's defense presence in Europe.
We're together working side by side in Ukraine, together side by side in NATO. And if I may say, we learned much from the Prime Minister, from his government, including the importance of pulling our full weight in NATO. And it will take us a few years to reach Polish levels of commitment. But it's possible. And we have made that commitment. We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade.
Now, the Prime Minister started his latest trip to Europe with a surprise visit to Ukraine yesterday to mark that country's Independence Day. During a joint news conference with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Carney said Canada could deploy military troops to Ukraine as part of an eventual security guarantee against Russia.
Right now it's 5:22, 20 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, Victoria Mboko has been eliminated in the first round at the U.S. Open. We're keeping our eyes peeled for other Canadians on the court, though. We'll tell you more about that next.
Okay, this was tough, right? An early
was.
exit for rising Canadian tennis star Victoria Mboko. This happened at the U.S. Open.
Game, set,
Well,
and
that's a
match.
very positive start.
The National Bank Open winner fell to Barbara Kajikawa 6-3, 6-2 in the opening round. Mboko's strong play this year saw her soar from outside the top 300 in rankings to 23rd, and she was seeded 22nd at Flushing Meadows. Mboko's been dealing with a wrist injury since falling during the semifinals in Montreal.
To be honest, coming into U.S. Open, I actually had a week of preparation. I started hitting, I think, on Tuesday. So, I mean, I didn't have that much preparation going into this tournament, let alone I didn't play Cincinnati or Cleveland. So to be prepared for this tournament, I needed to take as many good protocols as I could. So having the tape on, doing what I need to do off-court rehab prevention was really important for me if I wanted to compete here.
Okay, and just a couple of hours ago, you had a conversation with TSN's Mark Rowe, who said that a possible lingering wrist injury, you just mentioned that, and a tough draw, they were too much to overcome for Mboko.
She's a seeded player, and that gives you an advantage in that you don't have to face a seeded player for the first two rounds. Barbora Krejcikova normally would be a seeded player. Her ranking has gone down because of injuries, and she hasn't been able to play consistently. This is someone who's won 2 Grand Slams before. She won Wimbledon last summer, and she's a veteran on tour. So that's a really tough first-round opponent for Mboko. So those are 2 things you can clearly point to. The other things that you might wonder is nerves and the added expectations after winning in Montreal. Was that a factor?
And Carl Hale is the National Bank Open Tournament Director. He joined us live to talk about the Canadians, the other Canadians at the U.S. Open.
The great news is Layla, won yesterday. She beat another Canadian, Marino, so it was good for her to get in the second round. Our Canadians are all seeded, the men. So you got Felix, Dennis, and Gabriel Diallo. So I think they're poised to really break out and have a great tournament. They have pretty good draws. And also, they're leading into Davis Cup, which is in 2 weeks. So you're going to see some of these players at Davis Cup in Halifax. So I really think we have a great opportunity to have a really exciting Canadian Open, U.S. Open by the Canadians.
Okay, so you just heard Carl mention both these names, both Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime. They're going to play their opening matches tomorrow. Leylah Fernandez is going to play her second round match Wednesday.
Okay, and a lot of people talking about this. The U.S. Open briefly descended into chaos yesterday. Russian player Daniil Medvedev had a meltdown when a photographer came onto the court as he faced match point. The match was suspended for 6 minutes as the crowd wouldn't stop booing to allow Benjamin Bonzi to serve. When it resumed, the former champion went on to lose, prompting yet another tantrum on the sideline. Did you catch that live?
I mean, look, you always watch the U.S. Open for the meltdowns. It's epic.
So
each year, you learn some new language. Okay, it's 5:29, 20 degrees. This is Live at 5.
A live look now at Rogers Stadium as fans head to the second of 2 Oasis shows in Toronto. Area neighbors, though, residents say they're concerned about the noise. We'll tell you more about those concerns next.
Crews continue to search for a missing man who fell off of a rented jet ski. This is at Bluffers Park. We're live with the latest on what police are now calling a recovery operation.
A double stabbing on a TTC streetcar in the downtown core this morning. We're learning more about what happened.
Plus, as fans gear up for another Oasis concert at Rogers Stadium, area residents and the local city councilor, they're sounding the alarm about the noise. We're going to share those concerns.
You're watching Live at 5. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lena Latifat.
I'm Bakari Savage. Ahead of the second Oasis show at Rogers Stadium tonight, there are new complaints about sound levels near the North York concert venue.
CP24's Melissa Duggan joins us live with more on the push to turn down the volume. Melissa.
Yeah, so more criticism that we're hearing about the noise coming out of Rogers Stadium after yet another major concert, Oasis in town. They played their first of back-to-back shows last night. They're back again tonight. Fans already pouring into this venue before the concert begins, still hours away. So what we're hearing today is from City Councillor James Pasternak, who's the city councillor for this area. We have heard from him before about this stadium, some criticism he has shared, saying that he has heard from residents in this area complaining about traffic, but also the volume, the noise that comes from this venue at night when we have these major concerts. I want to share some of the statement that he is sharing with us. It says in part, "We remain very concerned about the sound levels. These concerts can be heard miles away, and we feel the venue operator can turn down the volume significantly and still offer a strong concert experience. Something must be done." We're also hearing from No More Noise Toronto. That group also talking to us today after this latest concert, after this latest criticism from the city councillor. Here's some of what they have to say.
There's things that can be done. And when something has already been planned, it's going to be hard to make changes. But there are changes that can be made, and especially with limiting the decibel levels at 11, like pulling the plug at 11 o'clock at night so that people know it's going to be done. But again, there's things that can be done at the stage. And also the big difference is where is the sound level measured from? Is it 85 decibels at the property line or 85 decibels at somebody's home? The residents, listen to it from their home, and that's where it needs to be measured from. And from the property line. That's where it needs to be measured from, not from people's homes, because that's the accurate place to actually enforce the bylaw, at the property line.
The City of Toronto says that they do measure the noise levels here, and they have been compliant with the permitted noise levels. However, Councillor Pasternak says even if they are compliant with those levels, he says that it doesn't mean it meets acceptable levels for people who live in this area. Okay, so Bakari and Lena, we've got this Oasis concert tonight. That's not going to be the end of the lineup here at this new venue that just opened up this summer. System of a Down, a heavy metal band, still going to be coming to town to play here. After that is going to be Hozier. For now, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Okay, a busy couple of weeks. Melissa Duggan reporting live from Rogers Stadium. Thanks, Melissa. 5:34 now, 20 degrees. Let's get a check on the evening commute with Adjoa and Siayabwa.
Yeah, it continues to be a busy go. And if you're on the 401, patience, what you're going to need, it's slow as you head both east and westbound. Definitely dealing with those heavier volume delays. Now, if you're on the 401, it looks like a lot of my cameras keep going out, so I can't show you the problems that are happening. I can show you delays, though, on the Don Valley Parkway. Very, very busy approaching Bayview Bloor as you travel all the way up towards the 401. And the slow pockets continue on the Gardiner, traveling into and actually out of the downtown core this hour. Now I'll talk about the problems that I can't see on camera. So southbound 410 on the ramp that takes you to the westbound 401. We're dealing with a stalled vehicle in the right lane. Also problems on the 401 westbound. It's the exit ramp that takes you to Victoria Park. Right lane blocked at the top of that ramp. I'll send it back to you both.
Okay, thanks, Saj. Police say that one of two people stabbed on the TTC today was trying to intervene as a woman was being pulled off of a streetcar.
Yeah, we're learning a little bit more about what happened here. So disturbing. Our crime analyst Steve Ryan is live at College in Bathurst with an update on this investigation. Steve.
Yeah, guys, it sounds like this was a domestic that started on the TTC on a streetcar eastbound on College Street near Bathurst. Police say at 8:20, 8:25 this morning, there was an altercation between a woman in her 30s and a man in his 40s, and the woman was being forcibly removed from the streetcar when a man in his 60s intervened. As a result, the guy in his 40s stabbed both the woman and the man in his 60s. Both were rushed to hospital in very serious but non-life-threatening condition. A man was subsequently arrested and charged with a variety of criminal offenses. The police have identified this 42-year-old accused as Patrick St. Dennis. He's been charged with 2 counts of assault with a weapon, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of aggravated assault, and 2 counts of failure to comply with a criminal release, and 2 counts of breach of probation as well. Now, just south of College Street at a public parking lot, there was a knife that the police recovered, and it is believed to have been used in the attack. We're showing the knife right now that was found on the sidewalk just a short distance away from where the TTC streetcar was stopped when this occurred. So the police say that this was an isolated incident. There was no threat to public safety. It appears to be a domestic of some sort, and the man in his 60s was injured as a result of intervening. Both of those people remain in hospital, and the 42-year-old accused was scheduled to appear in bail court today at 2 p.m. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Steve Ryan reporting live. Steve, thanks so much. It has been nearly 20 hours since a man fell off a jet ski in the water near Bluffers Park.
Okay, CP24's Andrew Brennan joins us live, continuing with that search effort. Andrew, what are you hearing?
Well, I got an update a few minutes ago from police, which is that they are still searching. There is no change and no expectation right now that the search, or as they've described this, Bakari and Lena, this recovery operation is ending anytime soon. We've stationed ourselves in front of the Marine unit here beside beside the beach, but also beside the marina. If there is going to be an update or any of the boats coming in after any discoveries, it would be here. According to police, after they got the call just after 9:15-ish last night, this also again after dark, police say that there were two people they can say that were on this jet ski, one wearing a life jacket, we are told, and ultimately of those two people falling into the water, the one they're still searching for, a man believed to be in his 20s, he was not wearing a life jacket, police say at the time. He had given it to the female passenger. This was a rented jet ski, police confirm. It's unclear where it was rented from. It does not seem to be from this location, potentially further west along the lakeshore. But according to police, this was a rented jet ski. I did speak with an owner of a small rental company. He didn't want to be on camera, but he showed me the liability agreement that most, he says that all by the book operators have, as he put it. And also on top of that, that they have going through all the safety requirements that everybody needs to understand before they get on these personal watercraft as they are defined under the law. And under the law, that includes having one life jacket per person that is on this personal watercraft, jet ski, wave runner, Sea-Doo, as you will. According to police as well, neither of the two people were strong swimmers. Listen to this.
I can tell you that obviously there's an individual, one who can swim, one cannot swim. Both of them, my understanding is, can't swim well, but there's a life jacket in place, and my understanding is the operator had obviously given the life jacket to the female, and then obviously the female was able to live, and unfortunately the male himself obviously weren't able to swim as a result of this tragedy that occurred.
Now, police are calling this a recovery operation now as we hit 20 hours since this incident was called in, since the search began for the man believed to be a young man in his 20s, not long after 9:15. And now here we are almost a day later, Lena Bakari. They said even though the family had held out for hope, ultimately they are operating on the belief that this is a recovery operation and trying to bring the remains of this person, as it's expected at least, back to the family. But for now, it's still unclear as they continue the search, but believed to be recovery. Back to you.
A terrible situation for everybody involved. Andrew, thanks so much for your reporting. Well, Toronto police are kicking off a safety campaign focused on so-called micromobility vehicles.
Yeah, okay, so micromobility vehicles, they include electric scooters, mopeds, e-bikes, as well as regular bicycles. Police say that the initiative is going to include education as well as enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act and city bylaws. The campaign is being conducted in response to a city council recommendation as well, and it'll concentrate on areas such as bike lanes, sidewalks, and crosswalks. That's set to run until September 13th. And Inspector Matt Moyer of the Traffic Services Unit joined us with more on the new campaign.
Bad behaviors really means e-bikes that are going up on the sidewalk, down on the road, down the wrong way, down a one-way, not wearing helmets, not lights, not using lights, not signaling, and putting both pedestrians and other drivers in public safety jeopardy. And really what we've discovered is that public education campaigns alone are really insufficient when you try to drive meaningful behavior change. We really need to think about combining both an enforcement and education program. And it's got to be citywide because we're seeing these bikes and these scooters everywhere.
And breaking the rules will cost you. Police say fines for doing so can range from $110 to $350.
And we're following breaking news from Brampton. This is where there's been a deadly crash involving a motorcycle.
Yeah, Chopper 24 live over the scene on Heritage Road near Beauvais Drive. These are live images coming into our newsroom. Take a look. Peel police say this motorcycle collided with a second vehicle and the motorcyclist died at the scene. The crash happened before 5 p.m. Police are asking motorists to avoid the area. You can see they've blocked off that intersection, the roadway there, and they have cordoned it off. Keep it here on CP24 as we keep a close eye on this developing story.
Right now it's 5:42, 20 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Well, it has been nearly a week since that Air Canada strike ended. Coming up after the break, we'll check in on the status of operations and what to expect if you've launched a complaint. Welcome back. Liberal education critic John Fraser is speaking out against the Ford government's suggestion that school board trustees be scrapped and education be more centralized.
Local matters in education. Schools belong to the families and the communities that they serve. You just have to look at Doug Ford's record in healthcare to know that it won't work. The centralization of decision-making to Ontario Health over health matters in Ontario has made things worse, not better. There are 2.5 million people who don't have a family doctor. Wait times, they're increasing. Home care in chaos.
Okay, so during last week's meeting of the Association of Municipalities, Education Minister Paul Calandra said that he'd be open to getting rid of school board trustees altogether, saying that the current system is outdated. Well, that's getting pushback from some boards and unions who say that the move would silence local voices. Trustees often advocate on behalf of their communities and have a say in ensuring that funds are spent addressing their needs.
Well, a new survey suggests Canada's border and spy agencies are among the worst federal workplaces in the country.
Yeah, with that, just 46% of employees polled at the Canada Border Services Agency would describe it as a great place to work. ZBSA employees also felt worse than the overall public service. That's when it came to issues like work-life balance and receiving recognition for their efforts. The Canadian Security Intelligence Service, CSIS, scored slightly higher, with 48% of employees saying they would recommend it as a great place to work.
Well, new data from Stats Canada shows domestic tourism is up slightly from last year, while fewer Canadians are heading south of the border for vacation.
Yeah, from January to March of this year, Canadians took 67.6 million trips. That included a domestic visit. That's up 2.2% from the first quarter of 2024. The data also shows that Canadians spent $13.8 billion on domestic tourism, which that's up more than 4%. And during the same time period, just over 6 million Canadians visited the U.S., which that's a decrease of nearly 11%.
Well, Air Canada says it's operating close to 100% of its flights following that flight attendant strike, with those looking to file a complaint about the airlines being asked to be patient.
Okay, right now let's go live to CP24's Phil Perkins with a closer look at this as people try to, get money back?
Try to get money back, try to get an answer for the uncertainty leading up to the flight attendant strike last week. We understand that the Canadian Transportation Agency logged in 85,000 complaints, and that was 2 days before the strike actually happened. It'd be interesting to see what the complaints are after that, after thousands of Air Canada flights were canceled on that Sunday. We understood that they should have been resumed the following Monday. That, of course, did not happen. Flight attendants and their unions not listening to the back to work rule from the federal government, going on strike again, resulting in thousands of more flights being canceled. And so it'd be interesting to see what that complaint number is now. Now, the Canadian press spoke with Air Passenger Rights Advocacy Group CEO Gabor Lukács, and he talked about those who did file these complaints. You don't even need to pack patience. You need to pack patience and maybe go into cryogenic sleep, because it could be 1.5 to 2 years or more before a resolution is made. His advice to people who want to take Air Canada or the union to task is to take this to small claims court. He believes it'll move much quicker than that. So if you are thinking about going through the Canadian Transportation Agency, he says, directly speak with Air Canada, see what is possible, and then if you are not satisfied, then you go that route. Because if you go straight to the federal agency, you could be waiting a very, very long time. You can go on vacation twice, 3 times before you actually get a resolution. So what we do understand, at least for now, Air Canada, people who did have flights canceled related to the work stoppage, they are being offered full refunds or flight credits for future travel if rebooking on a competitor didn't happen. They also switched up their reimbursement policy last week for alternative transportation and any out-of-pocket expenses. So again, reach out to Air Canada first, see what's possible, because if you try to get a resolution through the federal agency, you could be waiting a long time. I'll be over 40 if I were to do that and wait.
Okay, I'm not even going to try to do the math there, Phil. Let's leave it right there.
It's just 1 year. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be 40 in just a couple months. So waiting a year and a half, I'll be onward to 40, 41, 42.
Okay, I was like, am I expected to do the math? Okay.
Yes.
Phil Perkins reporting live from our newsroom tonight. Phil, thanks so much.
No problem.
549, 20 degrees. This is Live at 5.
More electronic devices are being searched by U.S. border agents. We're going to have more on this next. A new figure show that U.S. border guards have been ramping up searches of electronic devices.
Yeah, U.S. Customs and Border Protection data reveal almost 15,000 devices were searched between April and July. That's the highest number since 2018. About 78% of travelers checked were not American. The searches typically involve an agent looking through the device's contents. Advanced searches can be conducted if there's a national security concern or suspicion someone broke the law.
And Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is heading to Washington for more talks with the Trump administration.
CTV News has confirmed LeBlanc will head to Washington tomorrow and will meet with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick at some point this week. The latest meeting between the two comes days after Prime Minister Mark Carney announced Canada is dropping counter tariffs on American goods covered by the current CUSMA free trade agreement.
Okay, health officials say that Israeli strikes on a hospital in southern Gaza have killed 5 journalists.
The head of the health ministry's records department said 20 people were killed in the strikes on Nasser Hospital today. The Israeli military confirms it carried out a strike near the hospital in Khan Yunis and that it would conduct an investigation into that incident. Israel, for its part, maintains it does not target journalists and says it tries to mitigate harm as much as possible.
Well, the federal government has endorsed a UN finding that famine is happening in the Gaza Strip. So it says that Ottawa is deeply alarmed by what it describes as horrific, deteriorating conditions in the Palestinian territory and accuses Israel of failing to live up to its obligations under international law. The government's urging Israel to stop ramping up its campaign in Gaza. Israel says it has allowed more aid into Gaza after massive global pressure, but aid groups say that it's not enough to meet the need.
It's 5:54 now, 20 degrees. This is Live at 5.
And the Jays are back at home tonight to open a series against the Minnesota Twins. We're going to have a preview next.
Welcome back. A new exhibit is celebrating the many years of the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition.
A healthy dose of nostalgia at CNE in color. It includes dozens of photos taken throughout the decades at the X. There's also a rare color film of the fair from all the way back in 1937. So we had a chance to talk to the man behind the lens of many of the classic photos on display.
The CNE has been such a big part of, the Toronto lifestyle for 143 years. And, everybody sort of has a memory of the Canadian National Exhibition coming down here with their family or with their friends or with their future husband or wife. And, there's some memories here that, that are enduring, and people, that kind of brings back those memories of those fun days here at the CNE that happened long ago or even today.
And the CNE in color exhibit is at the Withrow Common Gallery on the X grounds.
Okay, the Blue Jays, they're going to open a series with the Minnesota Twins at home tonight. This is after taking 2 of 3 games from the Marlins over the weekend.
Driven deep, center field, Marcy back. That's 15 home runs.
Toronto cut Miami's lead to a single run with a homer in the 7th inning yesterday. However, they were unable to complete the comeback, dropping the game 5-3. Now, tonight's contest with Minnesota, that's set to get underway just after 7 p.m., so in about 2 hours' time. Max Scherzer is scheduled to make the start. We're going to have highlights coming up right here on CP24 in a couple of hours.
There's a lot going on in the city tonight. The X, the Jays game.
It's been a busy summer.
Okay, it's 5:59, 20 degrees. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
Well, the search continues for a man who fell off a jet ski near Bluffers Park last night. We're giving you a live shot. Police are now calling this a recovery operation. Rescue crews have been on scene for a number of hours, and that search will continue into the evening.